The next maintenance item we want to attend to on this vehicle, we want to go ahead and replace both the front O2 sensors. The mileage on the car, the timing is perfect. In order to replace the sensors, there's a couple things I want to do first. I want to go ahead and take the airbox assembly out of my way so I can get to this sensor. And on the other side, I'll move some of the wiring harness out of the way. I'll be able to get right down at it. Let's get started. The first step is to unplug the electrical wires going to the sensor. Use a wrench or a socket to remove the sensor by turning it counterclockwise. Okay, there's the old O2 sensor right there. What we want to do is go ahead and compare it to the new sensor. Now, as you can see, the new sensor is designed a little bit different. It's a little bit larger in size, but it's the same thread diameter, and it's also a 4-wire sensor like our replacement when we're replacing. We also want to check the plug-in to make sure the plug-in is the same, which it is. Something else to mention too on an O2 sensor is you want to make sure, like you see, the new sensor already has anti-seize compound on the threads. But if you were to take the old one out and put it back in place, you'd want to put anti-seize on the threads on these. Something else that's real handy is the socket used to change the O2 sensor. As you can see, it has a slot in it, and that slot is designed for the wiring to go past the socket so the socket can reach down and connect onto the sensor, just like that. You know, I mentioned that we were going to replace the front O2 sensors. That's because there's more than just the front sensors on this car. The front O2 sensors control the fuel control. They tell the computer whether or not the engine's running too lean or too rich, and it adjusts accordingly. Besides the front sensors that we're replacing, there's also the rear sensors. These are after the catalytic converter, and they basically tell the computer whether or not the catalytic converter is working properly. For maintenance, this would be the sensors that you'd want to replace, the front ones. To start the sensor by hand before you tighten it up with the socket. Use a fair amount of force, but not too much. Okay, I have the sensor installed and I have it tight. If you've noticed, I've left it disconnected. You also want to disconnect the wiring harness to the sensor before you remove it, and also when you install it, because as you rotate the sensor to tighten it up, you're going to spin the wiring and you don't want to take a chance of destroying the wiring harness. Let's go ahead and plug it back in, put our air box back in place, and then it's off to the other side. Let's go ahead and start it up and see what it sounds like. As with any job, to do it right, you'll need the right tools. The nice thing is that jobs today don't require a large, expensive assortment. Basic hand tools are generally all you'll need. In case where a specialty tool is required, be sure to check with AutoZone's Loan a Tool program. They have many specialty tools that can help you complete your job quicker and easier. Besides a ratchet set, you'll need a spark plug socket that fits the plugs on your car, usually either a 5/8 or 13/16 inch. And you'll need a spark plug gapping tool to make sure the plugs have the right gap. Some swivel sockets, extensions of various lengths, and T-handles can be handy for replacing those hard-to-get-to plugs. You'll need a shop manual for your specific vehicle. A plug wire removal tool can also be helpful.
Be cautious when working under the hood. If the engine has been running, components will be extremely hot, so be careful what you touch. When working around a running engine, it is important to be alert and never wear loose clothing or a necktie that can get tangled in belts, pulleys, or the fan. When lifting a vehicle, never work under it until it has been secured with wheel blocks and securely positioned on jack stands. A hydraulic jack alone is never enough.
AutoZone.
Get the entire DVD for this repair and all other procedures covered in the Complete Car Care series at your local AutoZone store.